Okay.
Sync up. What's the actual time? Ooh, we're a minute late. Jeffrey.
Shark big haha.
What would they say to me at the Radio Geeks Club?
Don't worry about it.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Yep. Let me see, like here.
Everybody
We are recording.
dance.
So if we're recording, let's go ahead and broadcast. Everybody standing by.
Sitting by.
It's 8 o'clock at the Edge of America, and the Icebox Radio Theater is on the air. It's the Icebox Radio Theater, coming to you live from Studio 908 in International Falls, Minnesota, the Icebox of the nation, tonight. It's an evening of classic mystery where two sleuths from radio's golden past live again over the internet airwaves of Radio Icebox. Both plays with a Christmas feel to give you a jump start on your holiday season. In a little while, we'll hear Aela Mackintosh starring as San Francisco's brainiest and most beautiful detective, Candy Matson. But first, we take you to a Manhattan brownstone, decked out with an elevator, a greenhouse full of orchids, and the world's greatest heavyweight detective. It's Justin Kapla starring as Nero Wolfe, whose phone, methinks, is just about to ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell means mystery, adventure.
And Nero Wolfe's office. Archie Goodwin speaking. Yes. Yes, I know that in 48 hours it's going to be Christmas, but... Who is this? Who? Hey, look, I'm a big boy now, so... Okay, tonight at 8. Goodbye.
What the devil was that?
Well, this may come as a shock to you, Mr. Wolfe, but that was Santa Claus.
You've been drinking.
Uh-huh, the usual. Milk. He's coming to see you at 8. He's got a problem.
Indeed.
Yeah, it seems that some low, not to mention murderous character is going around slaughtering Santa Clauses.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the bulkiest, the balkiest, smartest, and most unpredictable detective in the world. That chair-bone genius, Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sidney Greenstreet.
It began earlier than 8, however. The case of the slaughtered Santas. It began, to be precise, on the corner of 34th Street and Carlisle. The hour was close to 6, the weather cold, the sky dark.
Hey, how you doing, Turner?
Sure. Freezing to death, officer.
It's a cold day. Packing up?
Yeah, I guess so. Not many people around anymore. All heading home for dinner.
How's the collection?
Well, I don't need no armored car, but a few dozen kids are gonna have something in their Christmas stockings.
Your competition, the guy opposite the corner, he's already scrammed.
Yeah, he's probably got low blood pressure. Well, give me a handy to get the collection pot off the chains there.
Sure, here you go.
Oh, there. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll just walk you down the block. Got a phone in.
Okay, fine.
One Santa's still left. Wonder what he's waiting for.
Santa Claus.
Well, watch yourself going down those chimneys tonight.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll cut across the avenue here. Be seeing you.
Hey! That car coming down the street! Got its lights out! Look out!
Oh, hey, stop! Whoa! Hey, Peg.
Huh?
Did I ever tell you I love you?
Aw, it's not me you love. It's the hot soup.
Aw, now you're not the only woman who can cook a hot dish of soup, you know.
Uh-huh.
It helps, though. I'm just beginning to thaw out.
Yeah, that's a cold corner you play Santa Claus on.
Well, it doesn't hurt to make a few bucks. I ain't done so good this past year, but, well, maybe the next year will be, besides, I kind of like it, you know, kids asking questions all day long.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder how they figure the other two Santas at that intersection.
Kids think of only one thing at a time. More soup?
Sure, Peg. You know, one of them Santas got hit by a car tonight.
Oh?
Yeah, he packed up a few minutes before I did and started crossing the avenue, then bang! You know, a hit-and-run driver.
Oh, gosh, that's too bad. Was he hurt?
Yeah, he was killed.
Here's your soup. With the traffic the way it is nowadays, well, I better take a look at the stew.
Hey, somebody at the door. I'll go get a Peg.
Okay.
Yeah? What is it? Oh! Oh! Oh!
Michael? Mike!
Mr. Wolfe?
Yes, Archie?
I've been thinking.
Good heavens.
Oh, I admit it won't be about a national emergency or anything, but Mr. Wolfe, Christmas is only a couple of days away.
If you're hinting about your present...
No. I was just imagining you behind a team of reindeer.
Your imagination is morbid.
You'd make a wonderful Santa Claus.
Phooey!
You've got the perfect build for it, of course. As for character...
Archie?
Yeah?
Can you picture me scrambling down a chimney?
Well, they might have to build a bigger chimney, but... Well, there's that, too. However...
That is the front door.
True. I was thinking...
You might see who it is.
Well, if nobody's been lying to me on the phone, that'll be Santa Claus.
Let him in.
But I haven't decided what I want for Christmas yet, Mr. Wolfe. For example, should she be blonde or brunette, tall or short?
Archie.
On my way. Good evening.
I dislike dawdling on anyone's doorstep.
Well, stop dawdling. Come in, please.
Mr. Wolfe has been warned of my arrival?
He has. Through here, please. Mr. Wolfe, this is, Santa Claus?
My name's Barton. John Barton.
How do you do, sir?
I have no time for social graces, Mr. Wolfe. I'm about to be murdered.
Well, not in my house. I have objections.
I'm a frightened man, Mr. Wolfe.
Indeed?
This costume you see me in, it's responsible for it all.
Why are you in it?
I had a notion it might be, well, entertaining to play Santa Claus in public. I'm a wealthy man, sir, and I can afford to have whims. Therefore, I have assumed this masquerade. However, it apparently is going to be the death of me.
Mr. Barton, you have adequately conveyed an atmosphere and an emotion. I suggest you concentrate on facts now.
Very well. I've been acting as Santa Claus for the Tuberculosis Fund. My station is in the corner of 34th Street and Carlisle Avenue. I might add the northeast corner.
Why?
Because at that intersection there have been 2 other Santa Clauses, one on the southeast corner and one on the southwest corner.
3 Santa Clauses, then, on 3 corners.
Yes. Now then, earlier tonight the man on the southwest corner started home. He was crossing the avenue when he was run down and killed by an automobile.
A regrettable accident.
The car was running without lights. It deliberately ran the fellow down and then vanished. Not an accident, Mr. Wolfe.
You saw this yourself?
I did. Once Santa Claus dead, the man on the southeast corner got home all right. According to the radio news flash, that was where he was killed. By bullets.
Coincidence?
Possibly. But I wouldn't want to risk my life on the chance.
This is Friday night. In the nature of things, you would have made 2 more appearances. Very well, Mr. Barton.
I'll write you a check as a retainer, then hurry along home. I'm late now.
No.
I beg your pardon?
You will neither hurry home nor notify anyone at your home of your whereabouts.
But...
You'll remain here until such a time as I think it's safe for you to leave. The house is well guarded.
I can't do that.
In which case, I cannot accept you as a client.
I fail to understand.
Mr. Barton, it is very easy to murder someone. Avoiding the consequences of such an action is something else again. However, I'm assuming that you're not primarily interested in what happens to your murderer after you're dead.
Of course not.
Therefore, you will remain here. Archie?
Yeah?
First, the corner of 34th and Carlisle. Complete report.
But that's nonsense. The corner will be deserted now.
Mr. Barton, you're hiring my intelligence. You will, therefore, permit me to use it as I see fit. A complete report, Archie.
Right, sir.
You'll then visit Inspector Cramer at headquarters. You will, in whatever manner you find effective, collect all the police information about the 2 already murdered Santas.
Fine. The manner, I think, will be applying a blowtorch to the inspector's toes.
Your levity is ill-timed.
The inspector is likely to throw me out of my ear.
Your problem.
My ear.
And on your way home, you might stop in at Mr. Barton's place.
I don't see any purpose in that.
Mr. Barton, there is a basic problem to which we must find an answer. Whether those 2 men were murdered because they were Santa Clauses, or because their deaths were merely preliminaries to yours. Archie, I suggest haste.
Yes, sir.
And avoid blondes.
Hmm?
I would like you to be home in time for Christmas.
Hey, bud.
Yeah?
You got a price for a cup of coffee?
You sure you mean coffee?
Either you're gonna dig it up or you ain't. Never mind the questions about my personal affairs, see?
Oh, I apologize. Here you go.
2 bits. Heh. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Don't let me keep you.
Oh, you're not. 34th and Carlisle, huh? During the day, filled with milling throngs. Hey, that's a nice phrase. I'll have to remember it. Milling throngs. Anyway, now it's desolate and deserted. Well, that's life.
Is that a fact?
That's philosophy.
Yeah? Well, for 2 bits, I don't gotta listen to no philosophy, see? Good night, bud.
All right. Inspector's got company.
Just a moment. Hang on, just a moment. I'm coming. Now, if all you reporters will just shut up, ask your questions one at a time, I'll answer them. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Inspector Cramer, it's true a couple of Santa Clauses have been knocked off tonight?
It's true that 2 men who've been employed as Santa Claus by charitable organizations have been murdered, yes.
Any connection between those 2 guys, or does somebody just hate Santa Claus?
Well, so far as we know, there is no connection.
That means it maybe could be some kind of maniac who decided he doesn't like Christmas or Santa Clauses? Is that right?
The department is investigating along those lines, yes.
Like how?
Well, we're checking all the local asylums for possible escaped lunatics.
Yeah, but Inspector, suppose the nut has never been in an asylum.
All right, that'll be all, folks. Come on, now clear out now. We got work to do. Please, right that way, please. That was 5. I said that'll be all. Anything new comes up, you'll get it. Understand? Hey, good one.
Hello, Inspector.
Yeah, I spotted you when you came in. What happened? You decided to reform and go to work on a newspaper?
No, I'm a public-spirited citizen, that's all.
Yeah, I can add a few things to that description with practically no strain at all.
Well, Mr. Wolfe and I are very sentimental about Christmas. We object to Santa Claus being killed.
Nuts.
Oh, Inspector, aren't you in favor of Christmas?
I'm in favor of Christmas. I'm in favor of motherhood. I'm in favor
Hey,
of...
leave motherhood out of this. Neither of us are mothers. Our chances of becoming mothers aren't too good either. And furthermore, well...
Okay. You're not giving. So get out.
Thank you, Inspector.
Oh, but, good one.
Yeah?
In case Wolf decides to send me something for Christmas, you know what I wish he'd send me?
What?
Your head.
Well.
Oh.
And now I know what I want for Christmas.
What did you say?
Well, I said my name is Goodwin, and it's cold on your doorstep.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come in.
You know, you didn't mention your name.
Oh, I'm Laura Barton.
Mrs. Laura Barton?
No.
Oh, fine. That is, what relation are you to John Barton?
His niece. Why do you ask?
Oh, you've got a beautiful voice. Hey, all this marble and no butler?
I don't know where Pleasant is. He should be here.
Well, have him shot at sunrise.
Oh, Laura.
Oh, Wayne, this is Mr. Goodwin.
I've never heard of him. What does he want?
Well, I don't know.
But Wayne what?
Stevens.
Uh-huh. Friend of Mr. Barton's?
Half-brother? But we seem to be doing all the answering. How about you're answering some questions yourself, Goodwin?
I'll try.
Come into the library. Well, what do you want?
For Christmas? Nah. Erase that. I would like to see Mr. Barton.
He's not home.
Well, where is he?
Don't you know?
I wouldn't have come here asking for him if I did, would I?
I suppose that's true. What did you want with him?
Conversation.
About?
Anything. You see, I like to talk to rich men. Are you rich?
Oh, I can't play the piano either.
Well, you could always learn, but being rich is harder. I've found that it takes...
Mr. Goodwin, you must have some reason for coming here. Some reason concerning Uncle.
Laura, you're being imaginative.
Well, Uncle is late.
He's probably still on that street corner playing Santa Claus. He enjoys it. Why bother worrying about it?
I don't know, except
He's never been as late as this?
Well, no. Not since he started this masquerade of his.
Would you happen to know where the butler is?
Oh, out getting drunk, I suspect. He was in the kitchen a little while ago, then disappeared. Peasant likes to look in on the wine when it's red, or when it's white. No, I take that back.
Oh, you do?
He prefers Irish whiskey. We don't stock it, therefore it...
Too bad. Well, I'd better run along. Good night, Mr. Stevens. Miss Barton.
Good night.
I'll see you out.
Well, prettiest butler I ever saw. Blonde. Well, Dr. Titmouse said beware of blondes because, well...
Mr. Goodwin,
Well, I'm waiting.
Mr. Goodwin, you must know something about Uncle. Something you didn't want to tell us.
What makes you think so?
Well, otherwise your visit was just pointless.
Well, I suppose I know. Now, I might be a kidnapper or
Oh, no.
My honest brown eyes.
Your first name is Archie, isn't it?
Archie? Archie Goodwin. Goes together nicely, don't you think?
You work for Nero Wolfe. You're going back to him now?
I might be, but then again, I might be going to the movies.
I recognized you. Your pictures have been in the papers. Take me with you to see Mr. Wolfe. You can trust me.
I never trust blondes.
Well, that's unfair.
Well, no, I don't trust brunettes either. Furthermore, I'm not sure Mr. Wolfe would want to see you, so So, why don't you, trail me home,
Is that you, Archie?
Yes, Archie. Hey, where's Santa Claus?
Guest room. He was tired. What,
I've been trailed home.
Indeed?
By a blonde.
Phooey.
All right, I'll admit I didn't make any strenuous effort to shake her off, but she trailed me.
Where is she?
Well, she's outside.
Good. Your report.
Oh, but she might freeze to death out there.
That's her problem. Your report, Archie.
Well, it's short and simple.
It would be simple.
Hey, I haven't got time to resent that. A blonde is dying. As for the report, corner of 34th and Carlisle is a very quiet spot at night. No one was around but a bum who got into me for a quarter. For coffee, he said.
You will not put that quarter on the expense account.
Ah, stop worrying. That was a private gesture. There were 4 corners. Corner number 1 had a dress shop on it. Corner number 2, a drugstore with a beautiful redhead in the window making with a hair rinse. The ad said her name was Noreen, but didn't give her phone number.
Archie.
Yeah, 3rd corner was devoted to a shoe store, and the 4th corner had a bank on it.
A bank?
Uh-huh. Kind of thought we'd have a pause at that point. Mean something to you?
Inspector Cramer's information consisted of?
Yeah, you're being coy. Cramer furnished the information. The police could find no connection between the two murdered Santas.
Except for the fact that they were both playing Santa Claus.
Well, isn't that a little on the obvious side?
This is an obvious case. The Barton home, Archie?
Yeah. Well, marble and old lace. A butler, his name was Pleasant, was among those missing. Among those present, Laura Barton, the old man's niece, and Wayne Stevens, his half-brother.
Ah.
Yeah. Only for Laura. Stevens was not at all pretty.
It was Laura Barton that followed you here?
It was Laura.
Archie, go upstairs and...
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, now, wait a minute. The girl. The weather. Common humanity demands that you have...
Phooey! You speak for yourself, not humanity.
I'm human.
On occasion, a debatable point. Very well, let her in.
Oh, thanks. Laura?
Yes?
Come in. Laura Barton, Mr. Wolfe.
How do you do?
How much money do you inherit on the death of your uncle?
What?
That's known as shock treatment. However, I need an answer.
Uncle isn't dead, is he?
That, for the moment, is irrelevant. How much?
Half his estate.
The other half?
To Wayne, Uncle's half-brother.
Very well. Archie, will you go upstairs and inform Mr. Barton that his niece is here?
Uncle is here?
On my way.
Yes?
Archie, Mr. Barton.
Come in.
Mr. Wolfe would like you to come downstairs.
I suppose he has a reason?
A blonde reason. Your niece.
My niece?
That's right. She's, Hey, where'd you get that?
A man of my wealth finds it safer to carry a revolver.
Yeah, but it's not safe to point it at people, especially for the people.
Turn around, good one.
But, Mr. Barton, we're protecting you.
By letting that girl into this house? If I had the time, I'd be amused. As it is...
Archie, you're drunk. Good heavens.
Oh!
Santa Claus came early.
Your head.
Which one are you referring to? My own or the one Santa gave me?
You'd better sit.
No, I've had enough trouble getting up a little while ago. I'm staying out of any positions in which I might have to do that again. Mr. Barton is among the missing.
Indeed.
Uh-huh. Hit me on the head and used the back exit. I checked with Fritz in the kitchen on the way here.
You offer a reason for this particular peculiar behavior?
Laura Barton.
So...
I don't understand. Uncle wouldn't...
Uncle apparently has. He also, it would appear, fancies himself in costume.
Well, he used to be very much interested in the stage. He acted for a while, a long time ago, till the family objected.
Archie?
Got it. Nero Wolfe's office. Archie Goodwin speaking.
You recite very nicely, Goodwin. This is Cramer. Let me have Wolfe, huh?
Mr. Wolfe? Inspector Cramer.
Yes, Inspector?
The papers haven't been carrying it, Wolfe, but you're working on Santa Claus case, aren't you?
A possibility.
You didn't send Goodwin down here on to headquarters on a possibility. Oh, never mind. We're working on a line down here, Wolfe. Now look, doesn't strain your professional ethics. You might be able to help.
How?
There's a bank, corner of 34th Street in Carlisle. We got the thought that, suppose a gang was preparing to take that bank tomorrow morning. Those Santa Clauses, they've been on those corners for nearly a week now. They might have noticed something about the bank's routine, guards or what have you. That could interfere with a gang's plan.
A mighty ingenious and imaginative thought, Inspector.
I noticed you didn't say yes or no.
I have at the moment no opinion.
That's all you're going to give us?
At the moment. However, Inspector, in a very little while I shall give you the murderer. Archie, Miss Barton will remain here. As for you...
Yeah?
You will return to 34th Street and find our coffee-loving friend.
What?
You'll persuade him in whatever manner you think best to return here with you.
What?
Yes. You know, I think it's possible you might be able to put that quarter on the expense account after all.
Ah, you.
What? Why? Hey, I seen you before.
Yeah. I've learned to love the neighborhood. That's why it's going to break my heart.
What is?
Leaving it with you.
With me? Wait, what are you... Stop that. Hey, what are you doing?
Hey, I'm sensitive about having guns pulled on me tonight.
Let go of me, will ya?
Oh, not until yeah, there. Gun looks a lot better in shape than you do. You're coming with me.
Where?
Mr. Wolfe would like to see you.
Nero Wolfe?
Yeah.
Well, why?
He's trying to salvage a quarter.
Archie.
Uh-huh. Complete with, well, he wouldn't give me his name. He did have a gun to it, though. This one.
Yes, Archie. You know Miss Barton, of course.
Hi.
And Mr. Stevens. He joined us a moment ago. Miss Barton thought she'd be happy if you were here.
Hello, Stevens.
That's not the only reason I came. My brother is still missing. I'm concerned.
Yes. You, sir, will you sit down? Watching people stand makes me uncomfortable.
I don't have to.
You do. Archie is stronger than you are.
Oh, all right.
That's better.
If you don't mind, Mr. Wolfe, I've never been here before, never met you. But you look as though you could handle things. I think my brother's been kidnapped.
A possibility we shall have to consider. Miss Barton, perhaps you have a theory too?
Well, I don't know. Uncle's been behaving strangely for weeks now.
In what way?
Well, I'm not sure. Wayne?
Well, of course. John's always been a little peculiar, but I'm afraid I saw nothing especially strange outside of this Santa Claus stunt, of course.
I see. Miss Barton, your uncle played Santa Claus all week on one of the corners of 34th Street in Carlisle?
I know.
On 2 other corners, 2 other men indulged in the same activity. Those 2 other men are now dead.
Oh, no.
Well, wait, Mr. Wolfe, you mean they were killed by mistake for Barton?
It is true that one man made up as Santa Claus looks very much like any other man similarly costumed. But the answer is no. One of the 2 men was shot in his home after he had removed his costume.
Well, then, what connection...
Miss Barton, in the event that you wanted to hide a tree, where would you hide it?
Hide a tree? Why, I wouldn't even begin to know.
If you were very clever, you would hide it in a forest. If you wanted to hide a murder and were very clever, you'd adopt the same principle.
Wait. You mean that if someone wanted to kill Uncle and didn't want to be suspected, he'd...
go about murdering several people with an ostensible, if lunatic, reason. You would let us, say, go about killing Santa Clauses.
I get it. Then people would think the man he really wanted dead, for a special and private reason, had been killed for something that didn't point to him.
True. That's why 2 Santa Clauses were murdered tonight. The 3rd Santa Claus, however, the real object of the murderer's attention, was luckier. Or suspicious. He fled.
Do I gotta hang around here and listen to all this?
You do, my unwashed friend. Mr. Barton fled, and the murderer was in a quandary. He had, so to speak, invested in 2 murders merely to make the 3rd one confusing. But he found himself unable to commit that 3rd murder. He couldn't find his victim. Could he ask the police to do so? Hardly. But he might try to inveigle a private detective, such as myself, onto the job.
That makes sense, Mr. Wolfe, but why would my brother have deliberately fled from your house? I mean, he was protected here, so what... Do I make myself clear?
Very clear, Mr. Stevens. Archie, that gun you took from the dirty gentleman, you still have it?
I still have it.
Then would you mind pointing it at Mr. Stevens here until the police remove him?
All right. Come along, Stevens.
Well, that's the end of Mr. Stevens. Inspector Cramer will take good care of him from now on. But now Mr. Wolfe, Laura, and me and the refugee from a washcloth over here would still like to know how and why and who was involved.
I knew two people had a motive for John Barton's death, Laura Barton and Wayne Stevens. One of them proceeded to kill Santa Clauses in the hopes that the police would assume those killings to be the work of a lunatic.
The paper certainly hopped on that assumption.
Yes. However, John Barton, aware that his life was in danger, escaped his murderer and hid.
In this house?
No. A man in a Santa Claus costume came here and said he was Barton. However, he was an obvious imposter. He proved that by his flight when his niece came here.
You mean he could fool you, but he knew he wouldn't be able to fool me, so...
Precisely. Therefore, it was not Barton. Who was it? Who else had disappeared at the propitious moment?
The butler. Pleasant.
True. I distrust coincidence. Stevens needed an accomplice, hence he sent Pleasant here.
And Pleasant would give you a song and dance about Barton's danger and then scram. You'd start investigating, discover Barton was missing, try to find him, and lead Stevens to his victim, huh?
I frustrated that part of the plan by insisting on Pleasant's remaining here, which he did until...
That part of it's fine, but how did you choose between Laura and Stevens?
It was Stevens who knew without being told that Barton had been in this house and had fled from it.
Yeah, you yourself had mentioned that Stevens had only been here a moment, so you hadn't told him.
Obviously, the butler found him as soon as he had hit you over the head and escaped. Furthermore, the butler, masquerading as Barton, had attempted to throw suspicion on Miss Barton. That convinced me of her innocence.
Well, you've done it again, Mr. Wolfe, except for one minor detail.
You're not very successful at irony, Archie. What minor detail?
Where is Barton?
In this house.
Well, huh? When did that happen?
When you arrived home with the gentleman sitting near you.
The bum? Wait a minute. This I ought to be able to figure out myself. Laura said Barton used to be an actor. That's item 1, huh?
Yes, Archie.
Yeah, also, why is a supposed tramp hanging around a deserted intersection for handouts? The answer is he wasn't. He was keeping an eye out for trouble he knew was after him. Yeah, so it turns out I gave a quarter to a millionaire.
Uncle! Your uncle! Well, that is,
I know, my dear. Yes, I'm Uncle. I did a rather decent job, didn't I?
Oh, indeed.
No one recognized me, except, of course, you, Mr. Wolfe.
Not recognition, Mr. Barton. Logic. Archie, open some beer for us.
Yes, sir.
Logic, eh? Well, whatever it was, Mr. Wolfe, I owe you a great deal. How can I ever repay you?
Oddly enough, the answer is simplicity itself. Make out a check.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. This has been The Case of the Slaughtered Santas from The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, originally broadcast December 22nd, 1950, produced by J. Donald Wilson, based on characters created by Rex Stout. Our production was directed by Jeffrey Adams, with Foley sound effects created by Evie Conat. Our cast included Caleb Silvers as Unlucky Santas Turner and Mike, as well as Wayne Stevens. Ian Hall played the cop, Reporter 1, and Barton. Charis Boyer was Peg and Reporter 2. Jeffrey Adams played Cramer and the real Mr. Barton. Aela Mackintosh was Laura. Diane Adams was Reporter 3. And our stars this evening, Jim Yount as Archie, and Justin Kapla as Nero Wolfe. Nero Wolfe and The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe are the property of their copyright holders. This broadcast was tribute to them, and the Icebox Radio Theater makes no claim of ownership.
Well, that's the first half of our Evening of Mystery here on the Icebox Radio Theater. We're going to have a brief intermission now, chance to reset sound effects and the like, and we will be back with Aela Mackintosh as Candy Matson in just a moment. You're listening to the Icebox Radio Theater, coming to you live from International Falls, Minnesota. Hey there, this is Jeff from the Icebox Radio Theater, jumping in before the show to remind you that we couldn't make these plays, that's from the horror to the comedy to the old-time radio recreations, without the help of you, our wonderful listener. Of course, financial assistance is always great, and you can learn more about that at our website. That's iceboxradio.org. Just click on the Support Us link. Or you can just visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/Radio Icebox. But a great and free way to help us out here at the Icebox Radio Theater is to leave a 5-star rating of our shows and series wherever you catch your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, one of the millions of podcatchers at the Play or App Stores. It really doesn't matter where you listen, just so long as you leave that 5-star rating along with a nice review. That really goes a long way towards growing our audience and helping us make more shows. Thanks for listening to this announcement, and now, on with today's feature presentation. We have the greatest fans in the world, but we'd like the chance to share our plays with more people. And to do that, we need your help. Sharing episode announcements on Facebook is one of the best ways for a podcast to gain new listeners. There's no advertising better than hearing about a show from a friend, so we're asking our friends to do us a small favor. As Radio Icebox launches Season 3 this week, we're asking each listener to take the following pledge. I promise to share at least 3 episodes of the IBRT on Facebook this year. That's it. This is not a fundraiser or a membership drive. It's just a request for a tiny bit of your time. When a new podcast episode drops, an announcement automatically appears on our Facebook page. Just find that announcement, hit share, and you're done. Remember, everyone's Facebook wall is different, and just because we post on our page doesn't mean your friends will see it. Share that post and your friends, which might have never heard of the IBRT, will find out about us, share the post on their walls where a new group of people will see it, and so on and so on. Please, only share episode announcements for Radio Icebox, Frozen Frights, or Tales from the Rack. Don't bother people with the standard tweets or CRISPR stuff. Episode announcements are always near the top of the feed at the Icebox Radio Theater's Facebook page or Facebook group. With your help, this will be the best season ever at Radio Icebox. Thanks for your time, and keep listening.
Hello, Yukon 28209. Yes, this is Candy Matson.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
Candy, over here.
What? Why, Myra Fisher. What are you doing here in a department store with your work clothes on?
I work here, dear. I'm a wage slave.
Well, I must say it looks good on you. What do you slave at?
I'm head of advertising and promotion.
Well, quite a spot, eh, girl?
Well, it was until this morning.
Oh?
Now my neck is in the fire.
Oh, what'd you do? Forget to proofread one of your ads?
Nothing so trivial, dear, believe me. But I am glad to have bumped into you.
Well, maybe you'll change your mind when I tell you I've been shoplifting.
No, I'm serious, Candy. Could you spare a moment and come up to my office?
Why, sure. And wipe that frown off your brow. It's wrinkling your makeup.
Well, yours would wrinkle too if you had a missing Santa Claus helper on your hands.
Well, well. Now there's a situation. And it almost broke Candy Matson's heart when someone told her there was no Santa Claus's helper, one Jack Frost. Listen, here she is now to tell you all about it.
That's right, what the man said. I ran into a deal where we had a missing Santa Claus helper, Jack Frost. The gent with the icicles was supposed to talk to the tiny tots at the Brownstone, one of San Francisco's larger and classier department stores. I'd gone down there that afternoon shopping. I wanted a bow tie for my old pal, Inspector Ray Mallard of the San Francisco Police Department. A bow tie that lit up and spelled Cossack when you pressed the button on the battery. That was when I bumped into this gal, Myra Fisher. We went up to her office on the 6th floor and she sat me down. Cigaretted me, too.
You think I'm fooling about this Jack Frost thing, Candy, don't you?
Well, now look, dear, we all have our little peccadillos. Yours just merely happens to be a missing Jack Frost. You'll get over it.
I refrain from hurling this ashtray at you, Candy, only because of our long acquaintance.
Well, good.
Now listen to me. We've had a Santa Claus helper here for almost a month, and a darn good one. The kids were crazy about him. This morning, he didn't show.
Well, you don't suppose Jackie Boy got in the mood and caught the Christmas spirit, do you? You know, the kind that comes in pints?
No, he wasn't that sort of Joe.
Well, your answer is simple. Hire a new one.
They're hired through an agency. I called the one we do business with, and they're fresh out of Jack Frost. And I've got to get one, Candy. Otherwise, I come down 10 notches in the opinion of the brass.
Well, I don't want you to think I'm unsympathetic, Myra, but what can I do?
Well, you get around. You know people. Find me somebody, anybody who will take over the job.
Well, okay. I'll do the best I can, Myra.
Oh, Candy, you're a dear.
Yeah, one of Santa's dears. Okay, I'll try and find you a Jack Frost, Myra, but don't hold it against me if he turns out to look more like Humpty Dumpty. I went home and looked up the Webster's definition of soft. It said, soft, easily yielding to pressure. That was me, Candy Matson, girl dope. Here I had all my Christmas shopping to do, and I agreed to find a substitute Jack Frost. I had no idea where to start, so I changed into something red and green for a stop and go, also for Christmas, and went over to see my friendly advisor, Rembrandt Watson. Rembrandt is a photographer and an excellent one, too. Now that he doesn't have the sherry shivers or the port palsies. He lives on California Street, just getting rompers from Old St. Mary's, with a statue of Sun Yat-sen for company at a park next door.
Oh, Candy Dove, how delightful. Do come in, won't you?
Thanks, Rembrandt.
Oh, Pet, you're acquainted with my friend Diogenes Murphy, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Hello again, Mr. Murphy.
Why, good afternoon, lass. You look prettier than ever the last time I saw you.
Uh-oh, here comes the blarney.
Young lady Diogenes Murphy, the honest Irishman, never says a word he doesn't mean. How do you think I managed to sell so many used cars at my place on Van Ness Avenue?
Because you're an honest Irishman?
Ah, but you're so right, lass. Incidentally, if you need a good car, I can get you one at a very reasonable price.
Diogenes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got carried away.
I didn't mean to barge in on you like this, Rembrandt.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, dear.
No, don't be. Think nothing of it, lass. I'm on me way now. Rembrandt and I were only discussing the situation of the wharf.
And to what conclusion did you come?
It stinks. The bottom of the afternoon to the both of ye.
Oh, he's quite a boy.
Yes, I'm very fond of Diogenes. What brings you around this way, dear?
Jack Frost.
Ah, yes. Now, getting on with our conversation, what brings you this way, dear?
Jack Frost.
Maybe the needle is bad. Shall we try again?
I know how you feel. I reacted the same way myself. I'll give you the pocket-sized edition. The Brownstone department store is without a Santa's helper, Jack Frost. He didn't show up for work this morning. Said I'd find them a new one.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Dove.
It's very dumb of me. I only know of one character who even remotely looks like Jack Frost. I met him up in Alaska when I was traveling with the USO.
Won't do you much good down here, will he?
No. That's why I came to see you, Rembrandt. Don't you keep a cross-file on models you've used in photography?
As a matter of fact, I do. Here, in this little book, let's see. Men, thin, extremely. I have just one. Pietro Tarantello. Would you care for a Sicilian Jack Frost?
In Sicily, yes. Hey, what's that?
Where?
On that chair next to you.
Oh, that's the afternoon paper, dear. Diogenes left it, I imagine.
Yes, but on the front page. Why, here's the whole story about the missing Jack Frost on the front page. The brownstone is Santa's helpers. What he got in his Christmas stocking. A slug through the head.
That is no way to treat a Jack Frost.
Well, and here's a picture of the guy, without his false icicles.
Ugh, what a ham. Looks like he stepped right out of an 1890 Shakespearean play.
I hate to say this, Rembrandt, but he resembles you.
I take back what I said.
Rembrandt!
Divorce yourself from that tone of voice, Candy. I don't like it.
Rembrandt, I've got an idea.
You usually do.
You like little children.
Can't stand them.
You like to talk to people.
I abhor conversation.
You like to be charming.
Lost my charm.
Gay.
Lost my gay.
With the help of a few icicles, Ducky, you're going to be Jack Frost. Rembrandt fought. He argued. He paced the floor. He had the vapors. He fainted. I brought him to. I won the argument. I got my friend Myra Fisher on the phone and informed her that one R. Watson would assume the role of Jolly Jack Frost on the morrow. She was delighted. I couldn't say the same for Rembrandt. Then I went home. I was greeted by a sound very much like that of a phone ringing. Using my keen instincts, I figured it was the phone. It was. Hello, Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
How do you do, Miss Matson? Allow me to introduce myself?
Aloud?
My name is Burke, Prentice Burke. I'm the first assistant vice president of the Brownstone.
Brownstone? Oh, yes, that's a store of some kind, isn't it?
Yes. Now, the reason for my call. There's been, shall I say, a rather unfortunate occurrence in the store today.
So I read.
I need the help of a professional sleuth. You were highly recommended by my head of our advertising department, Miss Myra Fisher.
Aha, the thick plottins.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, no need to. You didn't do anything. Okay. Care to talk to me now, Mr. Burke?
Oh, I'd much rather have you come down to my office, Miss Matson. This matter is of an extremely confidential nature.
Well, I'm your girl then, figuratively speaking. How long will you be there?
As long as necessary. That's up to you.
Very well. I'll be there in half an hour if I can find a place to park. I only had time for a fast change, so I made it. Then I climbed in my car, drove down Kearney Street, waved a crisp single under the nose of a hotel doorman, and had my car taken care of. Then into the brownstone and up to Mr. Prentice Burke's office. I flipped a hip past the girl's secretary and walked on in. Burke was waiting for me. That was obvious. I could tell by the expression on his face. It was worried look number 12B. How do you do, Mr. Burke? I'm Candy Matson.
Sit down, won't you?
Thank you. Now our subject is what?
A man named Jordan.
Well, that's on another network.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, that's all right. Now, about this Jordan?
Yes, Ralph Jordan, to be exact.
Well, that's a relief. For a moment, I thought you wanted to talk about Jack Frost.
That's just it. He was Jack Frost.
Oh, me and my big mouth.
He was working here up until yesterday afternoon. Maybe you read about it. He was found shot today.
Yes, I read about it.
That's the reason I've called you.
Why didn't you have your own store detectives take over, Mr. Burke?
No, that would never do. I want no one in the store to know about what's going on.
Ah, intrigue.
Quite possibly. I have reason to suspect that Jordan was killed by someone in our employ. I want to find out who that someone was before the police do and splash it all over the front pages.
Publicity conscious, eh?
Well, business has been off for the whole year, and any bad breaks in the press would hurt us that much more.
Maybe you've got a point there.
I know I have.
Okay, I'll take the job. You say you have a suspicion. What is it?
Well, nothing tangible. It's just a feeling I have.
Oh, that's a big help. Well, I'll mush around and see what I can pick up. I'll bill you tomorrow for my first day's work. It's much easier to sustain a friendship on a daily basis. I left Burke looking as though someone had just called his store a bazaar. It was closing time, so I hefted my way through the crush and retrieved my car from the doorman. The Hall of Justice is right on my way home, so I decided to drop in on my old pal Mallard, Inspector Ray Mallard of San Francisco Homicide. Nice guy to serve coffee to on Sunday mornings if you could ever lasso him. I could never find strong enough rope.
Candy, what brings you around here?
I hate to have my Christmas ruined so early. What about that Jack Frost character?
Oh yeah, that poor guy got it good.
Where'd you find him?
In his apartment over on 17th. He lived near Seal Stadium. Why so interested, Candy?
Well, Rembrandt's a dead ringer for the guy.
I still don't get the connection.
Well, the gal who's head of advertising for the Brownstone was going out of her head for another Jack Frost. I talked Rembrandt into taking the job. It does sound funny, doesn't it? Bring me up to date, Mr. Mallard. Did you get any dope on the killing?
Well, nothing but a .45 slug out of the guy's wall. Ballistics is checking that now.
Nothing else?
If I did, I should tell you.
No, I guess not.
Well, this goes beyond the no curiosity, Candy. What are you drilling for?
Oh, only that I'm worried about Rembrandt. I got him the job. I'm responsible. I wouldn't want anything to happen to him.
I'll ask a silly question, Mallard, and you get a silly answer. Okay, let's forget it. Say, how's about dinner tonight?
Oh, I've fought this thing long enough. Okay.
Candy?
Yes, Mallard?
We've known each other a good long time, haven't we?
Well, that's right. Ever since the fair on Treasure Island.
We've had our little quarrels, little misunderstandings.
Oh, but they never seem to last long, though, do they?
No, and that's why I feel I have every right to ask you a question.
Why, yes. I'd say you do, Mallard.
Maybe I'll ask you tonight.
No, go ahead. Now's as good a time as any.
Perhaps it is, Candy. You get around a lot. You meet people. Do you know where I can get a couple of tickets to the Rose Bowl game?
My brain lit up like a Roman candle. I stormed for the door, turned back, stood there, my jaw waggling helplessly. Then I stuck my tongue out at Mallard and left. It was the only thing I could think of doing. Oh, he can make me so mad. But inside half an hour after I got home, I started to laugh. I felt much better. Just as I was puttering around getting ready, the apartment's buzzer buzzed. Was that Mallard? Oh, much too early. But I was wrong. It wasn't Mallard. Well, Myra, what a surprise. Do come in, won't you?
No, thanks, Candy. A friend of mine's waiting in his car outside. He's driving me home.
Oh, I'm sorry you can't stay for a moment.
So am I, dear. I just dropped by to leave this. Merely a little token of thanks for getting me off the hook.
Oh, Myra, there wasn't any need to do that.
Just a few pair of old stockings, dear. Getting me my new Jack Frost means more than you know. Here, please take them.
Oh.
Along with my very deepest thanks.
Well, thank you so much. A girl can always use them. Are you all set with my friend Mr. Watson?
Oh, yes. He came in this afternoon and filled out his withholding tax and so on. So very nice.
I think you'll find him very efficient, Myra.
Oh!
What's the matter?
Well, pardon me, I didn't mean to frighten you.
Oh, Mallard!
Oh, silly of me. I must have jumped a foot.
Oh, that's all right. He frightens me, too. Myra, I'd like to have you meet Inspector Mallard. Inspector, Miss Fisher.
How do you do?
Well, fine, thank you. Now that I've caught my breath. Do forgive me, Candy, but I must rush off. See you soon, I hope.
Oh, tomorrow, Myra. I'll be down to see how my lad's doing as Jack Frost. Thanks for the stockings.
Well, aren't you going to invite me in?
No, I'm not. Here's my coat right here. What's our hurry? Come on, let's go. I'm starved.
I thought we could at least have a cocktail before we left.
You thought wrong. 2 tickets to the Rose Bowl. From now on, you earn your cocktails, Mr. Mallard. We went downstairs, and as I locked the front door, a car was just driving off. It was Myra, and she waved. And driving, if these tired old eyes hadn't deceived me, was Mr. Prentice Burke, vice president of the Brownstone. Well. Oh well. Mallard and I climbed into our car and drove out to the Cliff House. It was that kind of an evening. We had dinner, and after I suggested we walk a bit. The night was crisp and clear, and the evening star was hanging out above the dark waters of the Pacific like an iridescent Japanese lantern. It cut across a little road above Sutro Baths, where an old car barn had once stood, and worked our way over to the cliffs and stood high above Land's End. It was exhilarating.
Well, penny for your thoughts, Candy?
Well, inflation is still here.
All right, let's make it 2 pennies.
Well, I was just thinking, Mallard dear, when you see a star in the sky, soft water below, feel Christmas in the air, how can there be violence in the world?
An age-old question, pal, one I can't answer. I'm too small. Hey, you're cold. I better put my arm around you.
Mallard, no.
What's the matter?
Well, the headlights from that automobile are shining right down on us, and we... Mallard!
Candy, what's wrong?
You got your flashlight with you?
Sure, I also got my gun and my handcuffs. Anything else you need? A bazooka, perhaps?
Well, the lights from that car. They shone on something. Down there, under that tree.
Oh, Candy, just for once, can't you stop digging up a mystery? Be human.
I am being human. Come on, Mallard, I want to see what's under that tree. We scrambled around through the brush, slipped into some sliding sand, and rode the crest down to the tree. Wasn't easy to get around some of those brambles, but get there I fully intended doing, because what I saw was red. Bright red.
You okay, Candy?
Nothing that a new pair of nylons won't fix. Shoot the flashlight over this way a bit, Mallard. There, that's it. Now, do you think I'm dreaming things up?
What is it?
Wait till I hold it up.
Well, it looks like some kind of costume.
Right. And look, if those aren't bloodstains, I'm a Labrador Retriever.
No, you're Candy Matson. Those are bloodstains.
How was your boy dressed when you found him?
Torn slacks, sweater, shoes, but no socks.
Well, this was most likely his costume then.
Yeah, don't move it around too much, Candy. I want a good look on the ground.
Hey, what are you doing down there?
Who's that?
The police. Now get up here and don't try any tricks.
That's all right, officer. This is Inspector Mallard. Homicide.
Oh, sorry, Inspector.
Well, that's all right. Stay right where you are. We'll be right up. Well, this was a break, Candy. I want you to drive me to a phone. I'll leave the officer here to guard the place. You can go home. I've got work to do here, okay?
Yeah, sure. Well, for once we had dinner before you had a chance to break the date. This baby was hard to reconstruct. Was the guy knocked off out there at Land's End, or was he bumped off at his apartment? The killer driving way out to the beach and hiding the costume? Only time would tell. I went home, climbed into bed, and logged about 8 hours. Enough to give me fuel for the next day. In the morning, I went down to the brownstone. The shoppers were already swarming through the place. I spotted a floor walker and strolled over to him. Pardon me, sir. I said, pardon me, sir.
I'm very busy, young lady. Make it as brief as possible.
Well, you do work here, don't you?
Of course.
You are the floor walker assigned to this section?
That is correct. Come to the point, please.
Father? I have a good mind to report you.
As I wish. As I said, I'm very busy now. What is it you wanted to know?
Ugh, the words are like a gall in my mouth now, but where do I find Jack Frost?
Right over there in the back, 2 aisles over.
Thank you.
Not at all.
Very much. Of all the high-handed characters, people like that make me steam. I was getting up a full head of dander, but it simmered out before I had a chance to boil over, because as I rounded the corner, I saw Frosty Boy, or Rembrandt if you choose, up on his platform with the cutest little blonde kid sitting on his lap.
Well, look who we have here, a great big boy. Hello there, son.
Hello, Jack Frost.
What is your name?
Topper.
Topper. My, what a fine name. How old are you, Topper?
5 and a half.
5 and a half? Well, you must go to school, Topper. Which one?
Garfield.
Garfield, that's a good school. Now tell me, what would you have me tell Santa Claus to bring you for Christmas, Topper?
An electric train and a baseball bat, and I'd like to play ball for the Giants.
Well, I'll see what I can do to arrange that, Topper. I'll tell Santa Claus. Bye now.
Goodbye, and thank you, and Merry Christmas.
I hope he can make the boy's wish come true. The Giants could use him.
Candy? Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Dove. Duck around into the back room for a moment. I've got to talk to you.
Aren't you working, Frosty Boy?
I've got 10 minutes off every hour. I'll take the break now, right around there, Candy.
Okay, I'll see you in a moment. What's the matter, Rembrandt? Even under those icicles, you look warm under the collar.
Here, look at this. Every now and then, one of these little moppets toddles up to me with a Christmas letter in its hand. A little red-headed girl handed me this about half an hour ago, and I've been shaking ever since.
Well, let me see. Dear Jack Frost, a word to the wise is sufficient. When you take your lunch hour, keep on going. Don't come back. Otherwise, you'll meet the same fate as your predecessor. Just about what I expected.
Candy! Do you mean to tell me you've been deliberately using me as a sacrificial lamb?
Oh, by no means, Ducky. Go ahead, take your lunch. Then do as the note says. Keep on going. As a matter of fact, why don't you take off now? I'll meet you at your place in about an hour.
The best news I've heard since Nelson's victory at Trafalgar.
I whipped upstairs, reported to Prentice Burke, got my first day's check, and on my way out, I told his secretary she better get Burke some smelling salts. Then I went back down on the floor again. Sure enough, there was my boy, the floor walker. I wanted to have a few more words with him.
You again.
If you don't mind, I was just up to see Miss Myra Fisher. She wasn't in. Have you seen her down here?
No. And what's more, I won't see her all day. She phoned in saying she was feeling ill. Most inconsiderate, I must say, during the holiday rush.
Yes, I must say. Could you give me her address? She's a friend of mine. I've got to see her.
Her address? Why, yes, I'll write it down here on one of my cards for you. Myra Fisher, 227F Union Street. There.
Thank you. You're so kind.
Not at all.
I had all the ammunition I wanted. A check signed by Burke and a card signed by the floorwalker. His name was Simon Liggett. With that, I ducked into a phone booth and called Mallard.
Homicide, Mallard speaking.
Oh, good boy. This is Candy. What did you find out at Land's End last night?
Well, we got a couple of juicy footprints that gave us nothing.
Did you make any casts of them?
Why, sure.
Mind if I borrow a couple of them for a few hours, Mallard?
Well, I don't see how it'll hurt. Sure, all right.
Thanks, Mallard, dear. I'll be by in a moment, and I want to borrow you, too. I stopped by the Hall of Justice, got the casts of the footprints, shoved Mallard into the car, and then picked up Rembrandt. The only thing was I had just a hunch, but my hunches have paid off before, so I never ignore them. First, we went out to an address on 5th Avenue near Clement. We got in the back door and went to work. Nothing made sense there. So we drove out to Reseda Way in the marina. Again, we got in and did some sleuthing. This time we hit the jackpot. A pair of shoes in the closet matched the cast we had brought with us. Rembrandt, go out in the kitchen and see if this place has any ketchup, huh?
I'm not hungry, Dove, but I'll look.
What are you up to, Candy? You've got enough to swing a case here.
I'm looking for a voluntary confession, Mallard. Tell me, what was the position that Jack Frost was in when you found him dead?
In a chair, like that one, his head slumped down on his chest.
Good.
Here's the ketchup, Dove. What are you putting it on?
You.
What?
Without the bun or relish, Ducky. Sit down there, will you, Rembrandt? Now, just go limp and let your head hang down. That's it. Now, for a little seasoning.
Ugh, Candy, you're smearing me with this sticky stuff?
And all for the sake of art. Hold still. There. How does he look, Mallard?
Why, of all the... Candy, he looks like the same guy, the real thing.
Good. Now, Rembrandt, you just sit just like that. Don't move. Mallard, you duck into that closet over there, and I'll hide in here. We've got a good view of the front door from both places, okay?
Okay. There are times, Candy, when I admit I admire your genius.
Genius schmenius. Come on, let's hide. The golden shafts of sun splashing in through the window from the ocean slowly turned pink, and then purple, then into twilight. The minutes ticked on. Once...
Ugh.
Bless you. But quiet, though, Rembrandt. You'll muss up your ketchup. 5 minutes, 10. Then we heard muffled footsteps coming down the hall, and a key inserted in the lock of the apartment door.
No. Oh, no. It can't be. The old fool I killed. No.
Okay, buddy, that'll be about enough.
Oh, no.
Well, get him, Mallard. He's ducking.
Oh, I'll get him.
Ooh, nice tackle, Mallard.
All right, Mac, you gonna remain peaceful, or do I have to give you a little tap?
No. Oh, I'll be quiet. You got me. I did it to both of them. I killed them. I killed both of them.
Both of them?
Yeah. I look behind the sofa, the girl, and that Jack Frost. The sofa. The sofa.
Wait a minute, Mallard. Oh, Mallard.
More trouble, Candy?
Yes. An old friend of mine. The late Myra Fisher. The whole thing was jealousy. Not the jealousy of a man for a woman, but the jealousy of a man for her job. Simon Liggett had been with the Brownstone for almost 20 years. He'd worked himself up from the stock boy to a place where he'd been promised the job of head of advertising and promotion. He almost got it, except at the last moment, Prentice Burke gave the position to Myra Fisher. That had only been 2 weeks before. He knew that Myra was on a probationary term, so he did everything he could to undermine her. Little things like changing ad copy, sending out false stories to newspapers. He'd figured that if he could keep the store without a Santa Claus helper, he'd break Myra's back and get the job by the first of the year. He'd paid a visit to the first Jack Frost and tried to bribe him into quitting, but the guy would have none of it. There was a struggle. Liggett lost his head and whipped out a gun and shot him. He was still in his costume, so Liggett stripped him, put some old clothes on him, drove him out to Land's End, and ditched his costume. Then he felt sure there would be no Jack Frost the next day. But that's when Myra met with me, and I talked Rembrandt into taking over. By this time, Liggett was in a frenzy and would stop at nothing. He trailed Myra and Burke to Myra's home, killed her, took her body over to his place, and ditched it behind the sofa. The next morning, he wrote a note to Rembrandt and gave it to one of the little girls waiting in line to see him. Fear and envy were taking their toll on the poor guy's mind. I wanted to compare the handwriting, so I had Burke write me a check and Liggett write Myra's address on a card. Also, we had the footprints cast. Between the two, everything pointed toward Liggett. That's when I staged my little parlor charade, with Rembrandt playing the part of the corpse. The sight, with Rembrandt's resemblance to the dead Jack Frost, would shatter anybody into a confession. But Christmas, in spite of everything, is a lovely time of year. And there is a Santa Claus. 3 of them for me, as a matter of fact. Mr. Prentice Burke, who sent me a very nice check for my efforts. Rembrandt Watson, who out of the sheer love for the job, went back to playing Jack Frost for all of the kids at the Brownstone. And last but not least, Inspector Ray Mallard. He gave me a Christmas smooch, right on the mouth, just where any well-placed Christmas smooch should go.
Listen again next week at this same time for excitement and adventure. Just dial
Candy Matson, and a Merry Christmas to you all, Yukon 28209.
This has been Jack Frost from the classic radio series Candy Matson, Yukon 28209, originally broadcast December 19th, 1949. The script was written by Monty Masters. Our production this evening was directed by Diane Adams, with Foley and sound effects created by Evie Conat. The cast included Justin Kapla as Rembrandt, Caleb Silvers as Mallard, Diane Adams was Myra, Ian Hall played Burke and the Hillside Policeman, Jim Yount was Liggett, Jeffrey Adams was Diogenes Murphy, Charis Boyer was Topper, and starring Aela Mackintosh as Candy Matson. Candy Matson is the property of its correct copyright holder. This broadcast was a tribute to them, and the Icebox Radio Theater makes no claim of ownership. Tonight's program is copyright 2022 by the Icebox Radio Theater, all rights reserved. Funded in part by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. For more information, our website, iceboxradio.org. And you can find a rebroadcast of Candy Matson, Jack Frost, on the IVRT's Old Time Icebox podcast. That's coming up on Monday, November 14th. Nero Wolfe, The Case of the Slaughtered Santas, will follow Candy on November 28th. Again, on the Old Time Icebox podcast. Get it at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you listen. This is our show for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for enjoying live radio drama. Good night. Oh, I love those moments when it all just goes click.
They didn't? Yeah.
Someone didn't answer the phone?
No, my parents. With the phone number? Oh, really?
Yeah, 1109 8th Street. This is Ian.
That's weird.
And so it's like, you know, little
Say
boy.
anymore. You stab him, we slap him.
Hello, little boy. Are your parents
Sewer department, we've had just about enough out of you.
And we're alone.